Hello and welcome to Let's Squawk About It. I'm Sam Schaefer with the Poultry Science Association, and today we are discussing how robotics and AI could revolutionize the future of poultry processing. Our guest is with the Georgia Institute of Technology, where he specializes in robotics, dynamics, modeling, and controls. I'm pleased to welcome Konrad Ahlin to the show. Konrad, please take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us what excites you about this topic of robotics and AI and how it could revolutionize the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me. I am Konrad Ahlin. I have a PhD in robotics from Georgia Tech, and I'm currently working with the Georgia Tech Research Institute in close collaboration with the Agricultural Technology Research Program, ATRP, to try and bring advanced technologies into the poultry processing space. Now, one of the things that really excites me is coming from a robotics background and trying to apply these advanced technologies into these new domains where robotics really hasn't been seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a poultry scientist. I've learned a lot about poultry over the past 5 years or so, but my background is with robotics. And where robotics are going is to be more integrated with everyday life, to be more applicable to these dynamic situations, these unstructured environments. And in my opinion, food processing, meat processing, poultry production are the frontiers of where robotics will be advancing in the next 5-10 years, because it presents the largest challenges that we haven't yet seen in robotics. And overcoming those challenges for the poultry space will advance robotics to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that recently happened that we're here to talk about is how Georgia Tech is one of 4 institutions collaborating in a 4-year initiative funded by the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture. So let's talk about that project a little bit and what brought on this initiative, specifically regarding some of the changes that came about of COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. So COVID has been deeply impactful to obviously the entire world in one element or another, but specifically to poultry processing and to other food processing spaces, because these are areas that rely on human labor. We need people to be there to do this work, to be able to handle the product, to be able to do the tasks. And the just truth of the matter is that we don't have machines that work as well as people do. And when you have these dynamic environments where you have natural product and natural variations in these products, there isn't a robotic solution or an automated solution that's going to be able to handle every situation. You need a person there that can do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID came and we found, oh my goodness, we can't get people into the facilities. We have to have some other solution. And it's really just taken the problem that's been building over the past 50 years or so and brought it to a head, where labor has become more and more of an issue, even before COVID, getting people into the facilities, into these operations where they can do the job. And then COVID hit, and it's like, we can't ignore this problem anymore. This is something that's going to have to be dealt with. There's going to have to be automated solutions, and we're going to have to find a way to get robots to do this traditionally manual labor task.
Yeah, absolutely. The world changed with COVID, and now we're learning how to cope with all of it. So as we look at the impacts this technology is going to have, let's talk about the overall processing and processes and how people will still play a big role in this. I mean, you can't completely remove people from the equation and workers, but let's talk about that.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is that I don't want to remove people from the process. I don't want this to be a lights out operation where you have some factory with robots going and people never are involved in this at all. What I'm trying to do and what we're trying to do as part of this initiative is to give people the tools to do their job better. And there's a lot of different ways that robotics might be able to play a part in this, both with terms of manipulation as well as artificial intelligence, being able to provide insight into the process to a user so that they can have a better understanding as to what's going on in this process and how they might need to be able to rectify issues, perhaps even before they arise. So I'll say that this proposal is specifically for this USDA grant is a very large project with a bunch of different faceted elements, and I'm just looking at one part of that. So my expertise and my focus is going to be on specifically how to integrate robotics into poultry processing and how to utilize artificial intelligence in that process. So I'm going to be speaking mostly on that, but I don't want that to people to think that that's the entire process. This is just one aspect of it.
Yeah, no, and like we mentioned, this is a collaborative effort from 4 different institutions that are using these funds to tackle different components of this overall initiative. So we talked about the processing piece and how it's going to affect those processes specifically with your realm. But there's also other areas that we can look at with like reducing waste and increasing value to the companies that are producing these products and processing birds. So let's talk about how this technology is going to benefit in those sectors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, waste is a huge factor within poultry processing. And the general trade-off with automation is if you have an automated solution, you're going to be able to produce more faster with the caveat of there will be less or there will be more waste. So there'll be less yield per product, but you're going to be able to get more product through. So that's the balance. With robotics, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to focus in on each individual product to be able to look at things as if it were a lot size of one. That's the ultimate goal. So instead of having to say, this is the average size of the chicken, this is the average location where you're going to want the cut, you would be able to take a look at every bird and treat it as a unique element so that you can then plan your cutting trajectories, plan your picking trajectories to be able to be specific for that one individual bird. And then hopefully we'd be able to reduce waste by being able to make more intelligent decisions about how to treat this one individual product rather than making assumptions about the product as an average of what most products are going to look like. Because the truth of the matter is that with natural varying product, there is an average, but there's a very wide distribution of possibilities in terms of what you might be presented with. And by using robotics and artificial intelligence, you should hopefully be able to account for that variability to have less waste.
Exactly. I mean, like you said, working with a natural product, unfortunately, they're not all perfect. They're not all cookie cutter exact clones of one another. So there is variation, and it's interesting to see how this technology is being advanced and utilized to kind of take those differences into consideration. And then one last point, we just want to talk about how this will impact technology is on sanitation, of course. Obviously, with salmonella, let's talk about the benefits of using this technology for sanitation purposes.
So the huge benefit that you get over having this sort of oversight is the idea that you have extra steps that allow you to do quality control. So you can have, by doing this imaging, by doing this robotics manipulation, you can directly look at every bird individually. So if there's any issues, you can hopefully catch those issues quickly and then address every issue as it comes up. So it's not something that you're finding out later that there was a problem and 10,000 birds have gone through and now you need to try and resolve it after the fact. By having this inline process with vision and robotic manipulation, you can hopefully, and this is where we're some of the research that we're going into, be able to pick up on things as they're happening, or to be able to do testing, to be able to do quality control analysis in line with your procedures, or at the very least to be able to catch it quickly before it becomes too much of an issue.
So Konrad, obviously we've talked about the benefits of the processing side of things, but this technology could also provide beneficial for other areas of poultry production outside of just processing. So how do you think this could be utilized on, say, farms with welfare, that kind of a thing too?
So one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to be able to create solutions that are going to work for the large producers, but also hopefully would be able to work for the small producers. So robotics is this very leveling agent where if it can work for the large scale, hopefully it can work for the small scale. And that's true within the production side, but it's hopefully going to be true pre-production as well, where having robotic solutions that can be either in your grow-out houses or in your broiler houses, whatever the situation might be, you might be able to, the hope would be that you'd be able to have greater insight into your processes, greater access to information to be able to make smarter decisions that could then lead to higher production, higher quality, higher overall yield.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, obviously, this is the beginning of a new frontier of technology in the poultry sector and is going to prove to be pretty beneficial for those producers.
And I'll just say that as I said, I'm coming back from this from a robotic standpoint, not from a food science standpoint. And I think that this is necessary for robotics to move forward. Because within manufacturing, where you know every piece before it comes in, where you understand exactly the process that's going to happen to every single part that goes into a car, you can pre-plan for that and you can simplify your process to come up with an optimal result. You can't do that with food processing. You have to look at what you're given and make decisions based off of what's in front of you. And that's why people are so good at this. That's why robots are so bad at it. But hopefully this will spur on that technology so that we can advance robotics, so that robotics can be a solution for food processing. And I think that there's a lot of hope for that. And I think it's going to be a collaborative effort between robots and people. It's not going to be robots taking over. It's going to be robots providing the tools for people to do their job better.
Right. And then, as always, people need to be there to maintain those robots and, have oversight.
To have oversight to make the decisions, because one of the things that I bring back over and over again is that people are really good at decision making. If a person were to look at a bin of chickens, the person would take no thought at all to figure out which bird they should grab and how to grab it. But that's the problem that's outside of the realm of robotics right now. To be able to take a look at this bin and say, this is the chicken that I should grab, and this is where it is, and this is how I'm going to go grab it. That's an almost impossible task for robotics at this standpoint. But it's something that people have no trouble at all with. So if we can combine the labor of robots with the decision making of people, then we're going to have a marriage where each party is able to do what they're best at.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting stuff. Well, Konrad, thank you for joining us today and talking about this, this initiative that's going to be taking place over the next several years. Before we sign off here, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'm very excited about this, and I really appreciate you having me on to talk about it. I think that there's going to be a change in the poultry industry going forward in terms of how we approach labor, and I think robotics is going to play a large role in that. And I'm excited and humbled by the fact that I get to be a part of that as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. It's exciting stuff. Several years ago, we probably couldn't have imagined this is the spot that we'd be in and talking about AI. With AI taking off the way that it is, it'll be interesting to revisit in the next couple of years.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Konrad, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Sam Schaefer with the Poultry Science Association, and we'll see you next time.